I got shot 7 times. One bullet hit me in the back of my neck towards my head, and then the front, the back, my arm.
Wilson Velez found himself lying on a Hartford sidewalk. He called his wife to tell her he was dying.
I pray to God I wasn't, but just in case, I wanted her to know that I loved her.
Albany Ave at Chestnut.
Yep, for a shooting.
Police and fire are on the scene in seconds, but there's no ambulance or 1010 in radio language.
No 1010 available.
Seconds pass, then minutes. Firefighters are on the scene, ask for an ambulance 4 minutes after they arrive.
Do we have an ambulance responding?
We're going to try the callback. Nobody signed on with us yet.
Another 10 minutes.
Our companies are administrating EMS at this time, waiting on our 1010.
Then 12 minutes since the first call came in.
ETA on our ambulance.
Then 14 minutes.
An ambulance responding.
And one more time, 15 minutes since Wilson Velez was shot.
Can I get another ETA?
I'm surprised I'd even hung in there as long as and I was conscious all the way through.
Before the ambulance showed up, Velez laid for 20 minutes, feeling the life fade from his body. 24 minutes after the shooting, he arrived at St. Francis Hospital, where his life was saved. The News 8 investigators looked at 31,000 emergency calls where ambulances responded in Hartford this year. 1,500 of those calls took 20 minutes or longer. That's about 5% of the time. According to our analysis, on average, ambulances take 11 minutes to get to calls in the capital city. It's an issue that Hartford's fire department, who also responds to these calls, is paying very close attention to.
We're looking at all kinds of opportunities and systems improvements that might be able to improve those response times.
The problem is what happens when you call 911 in Hartford. You talk to a city employee, but then begins a chain reaction of phone calls. That dispatcher then makes a call over to an ambulance company, who then tells an ambulance where to go. City sources say that's where the delay happens. That game of telephone slows things down.
It can potentially affect the response time to some extent.
Neither of the ambulance companies that operate in Hartford, AMR or Aetna, have contracts with the city. They make money on a call-by-call basis. The city is considering changes to the entire system. They aren't talking about signing contracts, but they are talking about merging computer systems to cut down on that game of telephone. Doing that is expected to shave 2 minutes off response times. Velez knows how long he waited. He's still angry at a system that he says failed him.
When I'm 3 minutes away from the hospital. How is that?
My routine of gathering and reporting morning weather starts when some of you are just heading to bed. After getting up and getting to the studio, it's all about a 2-hour race against the clock, researching data for my forecast. And let me add, the darkness doesn't help. We have to count on satellites and technology to even see what kind of clouds are out there and what that could tell about the weather coming up through the day. Once the forecast is finished, then the internet needs to be updated, and there are pre-show tapings. It's a lot of running around. Snow across the entire state. We have different kind of changing scenarios with different locations even within the studio. There's barely time for coffee. Now, we love Connecticut because of our 4 seasons, but each can be a little challenging. When there are snowstorms like the recent couple of months, superintendents are up early, bus drivers are up early, and everyone else who commutes. So you have to get those snow amounts dead on because people are counting on that. Not only the amounts, but the timing, when it starts, when it finishes, because it can impact so many people. Compare that to summer months, when the focus of weather's impact changes, affecting large groups of people outside a little later in the day, at camp or even at the beach. You have to get that call out there first thing in the morning for the risk of any thunderstorms.
We are back now at 8:48. Let's get another check of the forecast with Gil Simmons. Busy day, Gil.
It really is, and we're not done. Now, it's not all bad. There are certainly a couple of perks to the shift you learn to appreciate. We get 2 rounds of computer models to look at before we go on, doing the weather first thing in the morning. And also with great coworkers like I have, come on, how can it get much better?
Have a great day. Stay safe out there.
happens about once a month.
Hit the brakes. And the oil leak is coming out of the back of the engine here.
State inspectors are at bus lots at Mohegan Sun, taking an in-depth look at the mechanics of just a few of the hundreds of buses that travel Connecticut roads every day.
So we have 3 violations.
Problems for one company. These inspectors found issues with the brakes and the air conditioning. This bus can't move until a mechanic fixes potentially dangerous problems.
License, medical card.
Problems not unique to any one company. In the last 3 years, the state has inspected more than 150 companies, all of whom stop at casinos. For out-of-state companies, this is the only place the state can do inspections.
We try to get them and bring them in and bring them over here to do those inspections.
News 8 reviewed thousands of inspection reports of the buses. Bad brakes, oil leaks, turn signals that don't work. Just a small sample of what inspectors have found. According to these records, more than 3 in 5 of full inspections found violations. But here's the thing, there are 750,000 buses on U.S. roads. What inspectors see is just a snapshot. If you look close enough, you may even be able to see the early buds of spring starting to show themselves. But those signs of spring mean it's time for another season. Tax season. For Amanda Weir, that was great news. She was expecting a tax refund. She had her taxes done in February and had already made plans for the $1,300 she was expecting.
I had a couple bills I wanted to pay off. I was thinking about going to Florida to see my family. I haven't been on vacation in a long time.
Weir waited, but the money never arrived. She called TurboTax, the company she used to file her taxes. She called NetSpend, the company that was sending her a prepaid debit card, always with the same question.
Where's my money?
The answer was not what she hoped to hear.
It's just, yeah, poof, gone.
When she finally did get a NetSpend card, $1,000 was missing. No one could explain where her money went, only that the money was transferred to another card, but that card was sent to a different address. No one could tell her more than that.
Specifically, the 0 out of my address was dropped. They changed the zip code and they added a whole nother street address line, which he could not tell me what that was either.
Weir was frustrated, as anyone would be, so we started making calls and sending emails. Almost right away, things started to happen, but not as we or Weir expected them to. In less than 2 hours after we started asking questions, Weir was contacted. TurboTax knew where her money was, and it was given back to her. But that's not the end. How Weir's money disappeared was still a mystery. Then she got a call from this man, Bob Megan, the Vice President of Customer Advocacy with TurboTax. What Weir was told and what we were able to confirm is that it was a customer service representative working for TurboTax who had taken her money. What is being investigated is how that person did it. What Weir was told and what we were able to confirm is that someone working for TurboTax took her personal information, called NetSpend, and had that $1,000 transferred somewhere else. TurboTax gave Weir free credit monitoring, but hasn't pressed charges against anyone. What we do know is that the employee in question has been fired. TurboTax is working with federal authorities, telling Weir they're still making their case. But the employee accused of taking her information, she isn't talking to investigators. In the meantime, Weir doesn't know who that person is, where they live, or what's happening with all the information given over the phone to someone she trusted.
My information's still out there. She's still out there. I don't even know who she is. And it's, it's not really comfortable to live like that.
When you ask people who live around here what they like about living around here, chances are you're going to hear the 4 seasons among, say, the top 3 answers. We get it all weather-wise in Connecticut. Sometimes within a few days, sometimes it seems within a few hours. Let's take it season by season, starting with the spring. It's the season when the state wakes up again. The robins start reappearing, and the buds start, budding. In early spring, we get days like this one. Snow on the ground, shorts on Ava. Days when it's warm enough for kids to start playing baseball in the street again, even if it means sidestepping some snow piles. Eventually, those buds become blooms.
But they can't do that without rain. And with that and the melting snow, we get our share, and sometimes more than our share, of flooding. Rushing water, rising water, basically just too much water. But scenes like that just help us better appreciate scenes like this. The beauty and color in spring's flowers and seemingly ever-present rainbows. Before we know it, the warmth returns. Thermometers push upwards and the days get longer. At least the sun rises earlier and sets later. And those sunrises and sunsets you send us, just stunning. Things are just a little more relaxed. We use our vacation days. We enjoy our beach days. We try to squeeze in as much as we can during the dog days, because the weather is not always perfect. Summer delivers some strong storms around here, and when they hit, you're ready. You've got to be to get shots like these. We are always impressed with your ability to capture the flash of lightning, and always amazed at the damage those often brief but powerful storms leave behind. Mother Nature, at times powerful, at times beautiful, and always awe-inspiring.